Hello.
Hello. Here we are. One more time.
One more time. One more time.
We always got this. We got plenty. Like we could bring it all day long.
Yeah. Yeah. This is turning out to be such a cool day. I'm sure you guys out there know that we batch record. So for us, that means that this is our, I think, 4th episode today.
Yes, it is.
But it's new and exciting every time. It reminds me of my teaching days. I might have set out to teach the same thing 5 times a day to all the different classes, but it was a completely different experience based on who shows up. So anyway, I'm looking forward to this
Yes.
interview.
I never thought of that though, about how when you teach, like, yeah, you have the same lesson plans over and over, but based on who's in the room and what questions get asked, like there's always opportunity for something different to show up, and very cool. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we do here with our questions, right? We ask a lot of similar questions each time, but there's always a new, fun and exciting, different answer,
Yeah.
Which leads me to earlier I shared a quote that my son wanted me to share. So today I have a quote that my daughter wanted me to share. And it's interesting to hear what teenagers pick up on, right? Like what quotes mean something to them with their limited life experiences, It's
Yeah.
to see. I always say, because I have twins, they're like a little anthropological experiment. I get to see nurture versus nature in real time. But her quote was, someone asks, what do you want to be when you grow up? And a boy answers just one word, kind. And that hit her. And I was like, wow, okay. Isn't that interesting? Because we're constantly, particularly in our society, talking about what do you want to do for a living, right? When you grow up, that's what we're really asking. But kids don't read between the lines. They just take the question for what it is. So the question was, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I've heard a variation of this where someone might answer, I want to be happy. I want to be free. I want to be, I want to have fun, right? I don't know where along the line we lost track of that in the growing up process, but this is a call to bring it back.
Yeah. Well, and it falls into that, the whole be, do, have. And be, you get to be first and then do, and then you'll have everything that your heart desires. But we're in society today, we focus so much on the doing so that we can have what we want. But be comes first.
It really does. And I love that in this particular quote, it's kind, right? Because kindness can be anywhere, anytime, anything, in any way. There's always an opportunity to be kind, even when it feels like you should not.
Yeah. Well, and I love that they chose kind. We've had this conversation on another episode, but be nice comes up, and especially in town, because we have the Be Nice restaurant group. So there's Be Nice stickers everywhere. And for me, there is just a little distinction between being nice and being kind. And I'm like, please be kind. And I guess if you can't be kind, be nice. But
they're both good. I have a giant magnet on my refrigerator that I've had probably for like 30 years. And it says, be nice or leave. If that doesn't tell you who I am.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Woo. Are we ready to bring our guest on?
I am dying to see Miss Charlotte. Let's go.
I feel like we need a drum roll. Here we go. Boom. There she is.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
We're doing great now that you're here. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thank you for having me on.
So we both know who you are, but we'd love for our audience to know who you are. So take a minute and introduce yourself. Tell them a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what keeps you passionate about what you do.
Yes. And it's funny that you opened with that, because obviously we all want to lead with what our jobs are, But I have been trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up for a long time. And I still don't really have the answer to that. It's definitely, I would align, with the kind, happy, all of that. We're all searching for purpose and meaning. And I've bounced around to a lot of different careers and a lot of different places in the world. I've traveled quite a bit and just kind of joined this, I guess, more career-driven society here in the last few years. First, I was on yachts before, so that was kind of a nomadic lifestyle. You can bring with you what you can fit in your tiny little cabin, which is, the size of a small bed, basically. So yeah, getting off yachts, got into real estate first and have been really enjoying that for the last 4 years. And then had a little charter boat running around Fort Lauderdale to kind of keep one foot in the aquatic world and one foot on land, could go home at night, which was nice. So I was captaining that around Fort Lauderdale, and that got a little old because you're basically just babysitting a bunch of people getting drunk, driving in circles. So wasn't using my brain as much as I liked. And my husband and I sold that. And then we recently opened a landscaping company, which is making me use my brain, which is nice, So, and I think the learning aspect is what's keeping me passionate about that right now. Because I just, the repetitiveness of everything can be a bit much. So as long as I'm doing something different every day, and I think we were talking about it a little before, anything can be different every day depending on who you're interacting with, what's happening in the day. Because yes, you're doing the same thing every day, but no matter, like, somebody might come in and change up the whole thing, and it's a little different. So yeah, definitely learning keeps me passionate for sure.
You can tell you're one of those lifelong learners when, there's this stigma of quote unquote people that hop around to different careers and try different things. My generation was raised with, you have to pick a job and keep it for 50 years and then you get your gold watch at the end. And I think it's so cool, people that stop and do different things and say, okay, let me try something new. Like, I think it's so exciting and adventurous. So kudos to you for having so many experiences. I am agreeing with Envy on the travel part. I'm dying to hear more about that. But I also wanted to say, let us be aware and not underestimate the power of what you do for a living, right? Because it is, it's landscaping, but I shouldn't say but, that's not what I meant. It's landscaping, which sounds very sciencey, like you go in, you plant it, you leave, but you have to have so much heart in it. Like, if you don't care about what you're doing, if you don't show up really listening to what your customer wants, you're not making their dreams come true. I tell everybody, Charlotte and her team put some stuff up in my house and it's literally going to change our lives, and that's amazing.
Yeah, we don't realize it's such an underestimated thing. Myself included, I didn't notice it as much before. You just assume that the city is going to look nice and you want to live in these areas that look nice, but why do they look nice? Somebody put a lot of time and effort and money into making it look nice and maintaining it. And so I've just been hyper aware of landscaping since joining this. I'm like, it's everywhere and there's a lot of heart and love into it, really. So it's been a lot of fun because it changes people's, it changes the whole ambiance of where you are. And if, people have a backyard that's not like hangoutable in, for lack of a better word, and you go and you transform it and you make it an oasis for them, it's a whole another living space that you have, Granted, in Florida, we only have it half the year, kind of. It's a little hot the rest of the year, but yeah, there's a lot you can do. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm learning that I want to, transition more into the landscape, not architect, but just design, I guess, because that's been a lot of fun and definitely got me learning all the plants and, what lives best where and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a fun career switch.
And I'm thinking, like, you're a wee bit younger than Graciela and I think. And so the fact that you've done so many career changes already, I'm like, what else does she have coming up in her future?
Yeah. Well, I mean, even if you had told me a year ago I would have a landscaping company now, I would have been like, what are you talking about? You know? But someone once told me that if we have so much time and we don't even realize it. I think sometimes that you could change your entire career every decade and just completely liquidate it and start over. And we have enough time to learn something completely new every 10 years, which is somewhat what I've accidentally done. But it's been, I think I was just checking stuff out, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And a lot of it was really adventurous and really fun. But then you also, being and living here, trying to learn what I'm going to do for my future too. So I'm not bouncing around, when I'm in my 60s, because I think that would be less appealing than, it was when I'm 20. So it's kind of finding that balance.
For sure. I'm curious, what limiting beliefs did you have to let go of to be able to get off the yacht and come back onto land and start a new career?
It was very obviously my fear of commitment, I think. So, when you're traveling around, I was doing a lot of seasonal jobs, which, 3 to 6 months, kind of thing. I worked on a charter boat in Alaska for a few years, worked on ski resorts, worked at national parks, just kind of traveled in the off period. So I'd make money doing the job, then travel the rest of the time. But the job that I had was usually traveling. So I was just kind of bouncing around all the time. And it was, it's relatively easy. You do, your emotional commitments are pretty short. Your work commitments are pretty short. You don't really have a lot of drama or trouble because you just, you're leaving by the time, anything might be going south or whatever. So it was definitely, a commitment to stop moving and to stay here. And I was very scared of that. And I even thought it the first few years that we were here, and my husband and I, another thing, I got married, big commitment, obviously. But we were talking about it, the other day, because he was like, you really struggled the first few years to be here. I was like, I know, it's just, you're giving up a lot of moving around and then sitting in one place. You've really got to look inward, know myself in a totally different way. And then commit, if you want to build something, you've got to commit to it too. So we kind of did it in a small chunk so that I would not totally freak out, but we were like, okay, let's live here for 5 years. And obviously we're going to be over that now as we just started a new business. So we'll reset on that. But yeah, we started with 5 years and I was like, okay, I can handle that. And so then I got my real estate license and I was like, okay, if I'm going to be here, then I can put some effort in. So yeah, that was definitely something I had to overcome, was just commitment, I think.
That's so interesting to me because I'm a long-term person. I buy a car, I keep it forever. I get a career and I keep it forever. I am in a relationship and I keep it forever. So it's really interesting to me that your comfort zone is the total opposite.
Total opposite.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious, and this is off script, but I'm just kind of curious when did that start in your life? Did your parents move around a lot? Did you travel a lot as a child? Were you just born like my son, who's got a fire in his belly and he's always got to go?
Yeah, I didn't. My parents, my mom was pretty nomadic. She did kind of the same thing, ski resort winters, and worked on boats in the Caribbean in the summer, which was in the 70s. So, totally different. You're writing home every month or whatever, not the communications that we have now. But she just normalized that, I guess, that you can do whatever you want. And they did take us on vacations and stuff growing up. Nowhere too crazy, but the Bahamas, and, you get exposure to being different places and you see that it's not scary.
Yeah.
I was way more scared to stay in one place. And I think it was a little bit also the grass is always greener. You're like, oh, well, what if I go there? Then that looks cool. And I mean, thank God there wasn't Instagram when I was growing up, because I think I just would have exploded. But yeah, I think I just had that in me. My dad traveled a lot too. And I was just, when I was 18, I was like, okay, I'm out of here. And they were like, great, like, have fun. Yeah.
That's
So, yeah,
I
lots
think
of,
it is.
huh?
No, but I think that is cool that you, because I do see that a lot, that people have a fear of like going places and doing things. And as a kid, it wasn't in my family's budget to travel a lot, but we hosted exchange students growing up, and
Yeah.
and then I decided to be an exchange student, and just
Cool.
like having that that experience of going and living in a completely different country. And I think also, meeting other exchange students from other countries and realizing, what sheltered lives most of us live in the US, and that people, how many people have never left the town that they grew up in. And, I guess if you're happy there, but the world is out there, go explore.
Yeah. And I think, we do have that knowledge with the internet now, that you can see what's out there, whereas I feel like traveling, when my parents were growing up, that was a much more of a feat, because you were really going into the unknown, maybe like, I don't know when like Lonely Planet came out, but that was kind of opening up what to do when you got to places. But yeah, it's doable, and you just, you're gonna expect that you have some rough times and missed buses, and like, I mean, I had a lot of struggles here and there traveling, but also you overcome it. And I remember, I have to dig for those memories. I remember the good times way more, and then, it transfers all the way into like starting a business. Cause like when I was traveling, I was like, I remember asking my mom, like, well, what if I don't like it? And what if I'm scared? And she was like, well, then you can come home, And I was like, oh yeah, I can just come home. And like, I kind of took that into this landscaping business too. We were like, let's see how we like it and everything. And we're like, well, what if it fails? And what if it doesn't do well? And what if? And I'm like, well, we can just sell it, or we just failed, and like, cool, we'll pick ourselves back up. So I think that's a big thing in general, is just realizing that you're not going to get it all perfect,
I have this quote I keep on my desk, and I don't even know where I got it from, but it says, the point is we get to figure it out. The point is something always happens next, So it's like our lives are not movie of the week where you just fade off into the sunset. Like something always happens next. There's always another step you can take, even when it feels like it's the end of the world. It's just another step. I really love your message.
Yeah, definitely. It's part of it, the hardships are part of it. And it was, looking back on the hard times that I did have, it was a part of the adventure. It was fun. Now.
I always share this story of driving my kids to school when they were little, and my daughter was playing Simon. Remember Simon, the game that it would like beep some lights and you would follow the pattern or whatever. And so she was doing it, and she was getting up there, like she was following like 7 times, 8 times, 10 times the beeping, the pattern, whatever. But she would keep messing up. And when you mess up, it goes, and it does this like really sad, terrible sound. And I thought she was back there like having a heart attack, because of course, every time I hear it, what I hear is like ding failure, right? So I tell her, without her saying anything, I said, oh, I'm sorry, my girl, like it's okay. And she looked at me like if I was nuts, because I saw her through the rearview mirror, and she goes, Mom, that's how you play the game. And I was like, did your daughter just drop like like she was like 6, I don't know, like tiny. And I was like, oh my God, you're so right. Like I remember I did a blog post about this, 10 years ago. So she would have been 4. She would have been
Yeah.
4. And I'm like, out of the mouth of babes, you know?
Right? Don't you love that when they don't even know what they just said and it's so profound?
Like, I drove to work that day, like, dang, girl, like, mistakes, here I come.
Yeah. I mean, I think in general I've learned, you know, especially with this, we can only do the best that we can do, you know, and whatever it is, you know, last week even we had a series of events that, you know, what Murphy's Law, what can go wrong will go wrong kind of thing. And, you know, my team was kind of freaking out and they're like, what do we do? And I was like, just do exactly whatever you can do today. And that's all we can do, you know? And like, won't the client be mad, this and that? And I'm like, yeah, but I mean, we can't do anything about this, you know? And to your daughter's point, I mean, she's getting better every time, you know, she was getting 6, 7, 8, you know? So in reality, it's a win.
I mean, this is the same girl that the other day I had on some, I don't know, I had some Earth station on whatever, like playing international music. And this like Japanese song came on and I hear like an echo in my house. And I'm like, I look and my daughter's singing along. I'm like, how do you know this Japanese song? And she's like, you know, and she's doing her thing. I'm like, okay, guess failure is not an option for her. Like, no big deal, you
just
know?
pick it up.
Yeah.
That's awesome. She sounds like an awesome little lady.
Yeah, she's gonna kick my butt one of these.
Yeah, she's in tune. She's in tune.
Oh yeah.
That's
So I want to ask you our next question because it's one of my favorites, which is about us having a library of books. And I don't know if you know, when I go on vacations, the first thing I do is I pack like 3 books so I have options, and then I pack my clothes.
Yeah.
But if you're living minimalist on a yacht, talk to me about reading. What's a book that you think everyone should read? And I know it's the millennium and everybody's electronic now, but what was your plan? How'd you do that?
I did get a Kindle. I don't know. I've probably had it almost 10 years now. Same one.
Wow.
I don't know how it's withstood all of the abuse, but yeah, that's great. And then that's great for having a bunch of different books. And then I've discovered the app Libby, which you can borrow books from the library to your Kindle, so you don't have to buy every book, it's nice because I kind of miss the library in a way.
Yeah.
Kind of browsing around in there. But yeah, I saw that question and geez, there's a million answers. I have 3 that I focused on, but and 2 of them are by a father. One's by a father and one's by the son. But the 4 agreements, I don't know if anybody's mentioned that one, but that's kind of been calming me down when there's stressful situations too. For those of you who don't know what the 4 agreements are, it's be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. So when I'm having a stressful day, I kind of take it back to that and I'm like, this is all that I need to and can do today. I'm going to do what I say. And if I can't do it, I'm going to say that, you know, just be forward with all that. And then making assumptions, we all know how that goes. That's a terrible thing to do. And I've had some bad times in the last year doing that. Not taking anything personally is very difficult to do, but you realize that it's not all about you. Most people aren't thinking about you all the time. So that's a humbling one. And then always do your best. Like I said, that's really all you can do. You know, if you walked off and it's like with sports and career and everything, if you tried your best, then, you know, you won. If it didn't work out, at least you tried. So, and then his son wrote The Mastery of Self, which I'm reading now. And that's just, you know, about, and I guess Untethered Soul. Have you guys heard of that one? Michael Singer. That one too, they're both kind of similar, but just, you know, observing and releasing negative thoughts and inviting in more positive ones. Because we all get stuck in these stories that, I mean, you know, I don't have friends or I'm too busy to do that or whatever it is. And you keep telling yourself that, you're going to believe it. So just tell yourself something different, you know, realize that it's a negative thought and just, let it pass through, whatever it is, because it's not going to change. But just you don't have to live in there with it. So those two have been great for me in the past few months. I think I just honestly need to be reading Untethered Soul all the time. Just like,
you can, right? Like people laugh at me because I hang on to all my books. I rarely check things out from the library. Like I do love the smell of a library, but I like to own my books.
Yeah.
And I rarely let them go because, I like to go back. I like to just peruse them again. Every time you look at it, you get a different view. So totally.
Yeah. And you're right. It changes like yearly, if you're in, or you pick out something that resonates with you then. But Untethered Soul, I bought 10 copies and mailed them to 10 of my friends this year when I was reading it, because I was like, everyone needs to know about this.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah, so I definitely believe in that one. I'll probably start it again after I finish this Mastery of Self one.
A lot of those books too, it's interesting. Like you read them and then you come back a decade later and you read them and it's like, it hits you so profoundly different because of everything that's changed within you over that period of time.
Yeah. And I've found myself picking up a couple of those books and it's like exactly what I needed to read that day. And I'm like, how in the world did I pick this up to this page today? But that's kind of all of it's really beautiful and can't go wrong reading positive things.
The universe knows what you need to hear.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. The universe provides. So yeah, I'm gonna have to check out your library because I'm sure some people have recommended some amazing books in there.
And that's one thing that we talk about, as because this is episode 215.
Oh wow.
So you look at how many books have been recommended.
Yeah.
And there's I will say the Four Agreements is probably one of the top
mentioned.
But when you like look in the world, like it's out there as like I think part of it is its simplicity makes it accessible to so many.
Yeah.
And so, I've said this before, like sometimes I think like, should we take this question out? But there have been so many books, just like there's infinite books out there that, and not enough time. Didn't you talk about something, Graciela? Like isn't there a word for like having more books than what you can possibly read in your lifetime?
And the science is now backing it up. Thank you, science. That the more you're surrounded by, the better off you are. The longer you'll live, the happier you'll be. Like there's nothing wrong with having more books than you could possibly consume. That's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. My library is growing. I'm changing, I'm trying to keep all the ones, like hard copy of the ones that I love, but it's getting to be a lot now, but it's a good thing.
Yeah, what I will say, I love books and there's a lot of purging coming up in my life, and every time I move, I purge. And so moving my office, I've purged some more. And but one of the things that I really struggled with purging was books.
Yeah.
And I don't know, and I don't even remember what it is. But I read what's the Japanese Marie Kondo. I read her book, and something about the two things that were in there that I was struggling with that she really helped me with were books and photos. And like once I read it, it was like okay for me to move books on. And there's always that, if I need this book again, that's what Amazon is for.
Yeah, exactly. You can find it again, or maybe it'll show up when you need it,
Exactly. But like sometimes I have these books and someone will come into my healing space here and we're having this conversation and I'm like, oh my God, they need to read the, it's like, here's the book. I just finished it. And obviously it's meant for you next. And
yeah, so, I mean, they're kind of like that, I've been in a couple places, like more traveling, where they have, obviously there's book exchange because you can't carry all the books, but everybody writes their name in it. And it's cool to see where it's been, who it's passed through, where they picked it up. Sometimes I'll write that, and that's always, yeah. I mean, I think they're meant to be passed on and shared too.
That's
for sure.
super cool. What a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah. There's free libraries in my neighborhood, and I think it's so cool because I picked up a few books I wouldn't have read in those, and just because it's there, and I'm like, well, I'll check it out.
Mhm.
And that's a cool thing that's in, some Fort Lauderdale neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Woo! It's been a long day, Graciela.
I know you guys are in 4 hours here now.
Yeah.
It's a big day.
And they're always great. Like the conversations are always great. So it's not a problem. We love it, and it is a work of love.
Of course.
And but we also, like, each time I kind of forget, like, oh yeah, it does take a lot of energy to talk for 4 hours.
It definitely does. Yeah.
So, but it's been awesome having you on the show, Charlotte. And I hope that many can look and like see the inspiration, because I think so many people are out there, like they're stuck in their job and they're afraid to move forward and try something new. And so I hope that this show can be an inspiration for some, that like you don't have to stay stuck in what you're doing, and take a chance and try something new.
I mean, you'll always figure it out. Everything is figure outable.
Exactly.
Another book also, but
Marie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, the worst that can happen is you can go get your same job back, or you can move back to the town that you left, or whatever it is, But the world, there's a lot of cool things in the world to go see, and a lot of cool things to do, and we can change whatever we're doing every few years, and that works too, So
Yep.
I love it. Thank you so much for everything that you've shared. You've given me some inspiration, and I know my daughter's going to want to listen to this episode. So if she gets any brilliant ideas and starts traveling the world, I'm blaming it on you.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Just make sure when she watches the show that she likes it.
Yeah, please. I need the likes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you, ladies, for having me on. It's been so nice to chat with you, and I know I'll see you guys soon.
Yay!
Have a great day.
Have a great day,
everyone.
Talk to you later.